Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 26th day of August, 2024. Well, we're almost at the end of the month, aren't we? I'm already working on the first week in September's posts for the blog over at Stepping Aside, so I'm always a week ahead of myself. I never know what day it is. I really don't. Well, that's okay. Time is relative anyway, isn't it? Time is an illusion. Well, let's see. Come on, one last fall into my hand. There we go. Okay, we're going to start today with Laguz. Now, Laguz is the 21st rune of the Elder Futhark. It looks like a little hook. It can be visualized as a magical hook to, when in meditation, to draw back your energy to you once you dissolve the connections, the energetic connections you have with everything else in the universe, to people, to ideas, to thoughts, pretty much anything. You send out there into the universe when you think it or when you engage with it. And so Laguz is about flow. That's the simplest way to call it. It's intuition, it's clairsentience, it's emotional balance. And again, you can use it to draw energy back to you. You can chant it softly or silently when you do that. And it just sort of energizes the whole experience. But it's the intuitive flow that we have together. When you look at the rune Ewaz, it's Laguz forward and reverse connected, so it looks like a little M, and so that would be the intuitive bond we share with others. And Ewaz is the 19th rune of the Elder Futhark. It grows in its intensity with manas, having to do with the individual within society, but it's the same sort of thing. Although instead of just looking like an M, it looks like an M with an X in the middle. And then you come to Laguz, which is just essentially flow from spirit. So flow from higher awareness. And so as opposed to allowing ego to control everything today, you want to allow things to flow from spirit, from higher awareness. Just expand your focus outward, soften it, and expand it outward beyond the body, beyond your auric field, and then visualize yourself connecting with your oversoul and allowing whatever message comes in from there to hear that and respond to it. Let's see what we have for the Geomancy rune for today. Let's see, that goes there, that goes there. So we're looking at emissio or loss. Remember, acquisitio and emissio are about increase and loss, or increase and decrease, essentially. This would be emissio, and then its complement would be acquisitio, which is gain. But here you have loss. And essentially, it's not a value judgment. It's not necessarily even something to do with material security, such as money or what have you. It could just simply be the ending of something, ending of maybe the control of ego over what you do and allowing spirit to inform all of it. You could say that. You could also look at it as a loss of allowing the acknowledgement of who you are as a soul. That you're not doing that. But we'll just see what the cards have to say in what direction we're going to go here. But typically it ends up being about the loss of ego. Because what I use the Geomancy runes to represent is ego and the impact of ego on our experiences and how our perceptions, and then how we can transmute that into spirit by the message from whatever Elder Futhark rune I pull. So I just look at the Elder Futhark as the language of spirit, in the same way that you might look at the major arcana in tarot, which are considered soul archetype cards. And so you're on a different vibratory plane when you're looking at stuff like that. But whereas Geomancy is connected to the earth, I tend to look at that as behavior, earthly behavior, that at times gets in the way of things. So let's cut the deck, take the lower half. Well, we have two cards from the major arcana. We have the Fool and the Star, and then we also have the Seven of Wands. So of course with the Star you're going to see the water element there. With the Fool you have complete undeveloped potential, so it's everything. All elements are found there. But with the Seven, in fact I think I'm going to start with the Seven. I'm going to actually, how I'm going to display it is going to be like this. Well, it'll be like that with this below it when I do the picture. And we're going to look at what the soul influence is on whatever's happening here in the Seven, I think. Let's do it that way. And especially if you're going to be looking at the Seven relating to a missio, let's think about that as we talk about the Seven. So here we have the Seven of Wands. Here you have a guy who's above it all. He's on a little precipice here, if you will, or a little hill. You can tell that he's higher up because it's part of the what it's showing there in terms of like a little cliff. So he's up higher. He's holding a staff in a defensive posture. I wouldn't stand that way though. This card drives me nuts. My husband and I used to teach karate, and if we had a student that stood that way, it's like, dude, your groin is open, or honey, your groin is open, whatever, cover that up. So your solar plexus is open, and I don't care if you've got a staff there, it's not enough. It's not a very strong stance. We'd always call it the duck stance. You could literally push somebody over because their feet are out like ducks, right? Instead of well, anyway. So this card drives me crazy, but at minimum, what it's talking about is standing your ground. You have a bunch of stuff coming in on him, and he gets a higher up so that he understands what's going on. He's not like down in the mix of it, and to where he's not really sure how much is coming in on him. It'd be the equivalent in martial arts of mass attacks and learning to deal with mass attacks, where you've got people all around you, and you're having to deal with what's coming in on you. Well, this here he's gotten above it all. You can see a little bit of water right here. So there's a little bit of a stream maybe there, but it's almost like he's just gotten bigger. And he's up there observing. 7 is a number of observation and balance. I generally liken it to the scales. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there in terms of the X's there. And it reminds me of letting things come to balance, to observe and be sure of what you're seeing, letting everything settle out before you then make a decision about what you need to do, what action you need to take. And since the fire element is represented by wands, you're looking at very action-oriented behavior. And again, there's a lot coming in on him, and he's defending his ground. Now, if this were, say, a work situation, you might have, he's defending his position, and you've got some other opinions down here that are counter to what he's saying. If you were defending your dissertation, this would be an example of defending your dissertation against all the individuals in front of you. They're going to ask a bunch of questions about it, and but there's life growing from all of them. It's very action oriented, but at the same time, there's the feeling of whatever's coming in on you today, you need to just you need to observe what all of it is. You need to get as much information about it as possible so you understand what it's all about, so you can then defend yourself in an effective way. Now, as far as a missio goes with this, you might be looking at a loss of security, a feeling of maybe feeling a little bit insecure all there when you're up there all by yourself, trying to defend yourself. You may have felt a little insecure, but once you get above it all, you see the loss of that, the loss of the insecurity, because you're above it all. You understand what's going on, and you're in a better position to defend yourself once you let go of that fear and you take command of the situation, which is what he's doing. So this could be a loss of ego-based fear that Amicio is talking about, where you then allow Laguz to flow from spirit with the 2 major arcana cards. And so you see the reading itself is more heavily weighted on that. Anytime you get a major arcana card in a reading, let alone 2 or all of them maybe, are all major cards, That's a soul influence coming through. You need to listen to higher awareness here. Understand the undeveloped potential that you have to succeed here. The Fool is all about undeveloped potential. You see him standing on the precipice. He's looking up to this yellow sky. You see the sun radiating the color all over the sky here. You don't see any blue sky, in other words. But you see this definition here between where he is and taking the leap into form. The soul is the Fool actually represents the soul in my estimation, and he's ready to go. But the interesting part about this is he trusts the process by not looking where he's going, he or she, because we don't know yet which he's going to, what gender he will be when he takes his leap into physical reality. And so he embodies all things at this point. He brings with him all that he's learned that's relevant to this new experience he's going to take on for himself, or itself, I should say. And basically he's still within the realm of the soul up here, all right, the oversoul, if you will. He's just the piece of this oversoul is just beginning to take its leap into form. The dog's by his side, and maybe we could think of the dog as an elemental for the Fool. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's card 0 of the major arcana, so this is complete unity of experience. This is the soul in its unified form. So again, what higher self has to offer, the undeveloped potential of the outcome here, could be thought of as what the Fool is representing. And then the Star, this is about hopes and wishes and dreams. It's also about transformation and inspiration and optimism. And so anything is possible here in terms of what you're doing here, standing your ground. Maybe you're going to be very successful, in other words. Maybe you will defend your position to enough people that they come around to your way of thinking, for example. Maybe the bosses are looking on, or the boss is looking on and sees that you're willing to go to the mat for what you believe, essentially, to stand your ground and to really defend what you have to say today. That self-confidence that you have in order to do that successfully. And then you have here you see the goddess in her nude form. She's got one knee on the ground, one foot in the water. So again, you're grounding yourself in spirit, essentially, here. The same thing that you're going to need to do here, get higher, and not only get higher so that you can see what your enemies are all about, or the viewpoints that are in conflict with your own or in disagreement with your own, the challenges that you face. In other words, you want to let higher self inform your next move, instead of just simply reacting to each individual moment. You need to understand the entire picture, and the only way you do that is to let go of the ego's reactivity and response, and respond through higher self. And that's what Laguz is here to help you do. So again, there's a certain amount of balance here, emotional balance, between your hopes and desires and what are reasonable to expect. But at the same time, it's that higher resonance of thinking that brings what you need to bear, which manifests what you need to happen, what you hope will happen, what you dream will happen, what you wish will happen. You want to be successful. And it tells me here that with the loss of the ego response and the reliance on higher self, the odds of you being successful are greatly increased by doing that. Let's take a look at what the numerology is here. I said the 21st rune of the Elder Futhark, so we'll put a 21 down. 0 doesn't, there's no number here other than 0, so we won't worry about that. We have a 7, so plus 7 is 28, plus 17 is 45, and so 4 and 5 is 9. I'm going to write that down here so I don't forget. Let's do that one more time to be sure. So we've got a 21 plus 7 plus 17 is 45. Okay, so a 9. Now 9 is about 9 is about endings and completion, but it's also about spirituality and generosity. And so you're coming to the end of something, essentially. Maybe this is like the final thing you've got to do to stand your ground about something. Clearly, things have been going on and all of that, and now all of a sudden you're at that end of the process where, okay, I'm going to understand what's really going on here, and I'm going to respond with the way I need to, so that people truly understand what I'm talking about. Because what I have to say matters, what I have to say is important. So you gain the self-confidence by gathering all the information you can, so you're not caught unawares, because he's not down in the midst of it where somebody could come behind him and try to attack him, and he doesn't see that coming. Instead, he's above it all, and that's what you need to do in order to be successful. You've got to understand what everybody else's opinion is, what everybody else's position is, where all the challenges are going to be for you, and then get up there and stand your ground and speak your truth. And doing so, drawing higher self into the mix, is going to be much more advantageous than reacting with your ego, becoming defensive in that respect. You know, here, in a sense, he's not defensive, like I said about the stance that he's in. He's only defensive as far as this staff is concerned. And that's a powerful defense, but he's opened himself up to vulnerability as well. And even though that drives me nuts, you know, as a former martial arts instructor, even though that drives me insane to see this card, still there's a level of vulnerability about him where he's ready to say what he needs to say and to take on any challenges that might arise from that. And so at the same time, maybe there's the end of a lack of awareness, if you will, and an ego response, and a more willingness to stand above it all and be prepared. Be prepared to be vulnerable at the same time expressing your truth, you know, and be unafraid to let go of the fear with Amicio, let go of that fear, and allow your truth to come out, no matter what happens, right? But you're going to do it with integrity and resolve and honor and dignity and awareness that comes from spirit instead of ego. Okay? So, whatever that applies to today, you do that, and maybe things will turn out your way. At least you'll be heard. That it feels to me, no matter what happens, you ground yourself in spirit instead of grounding yourself in ego. You stand a much better chance of being successful today at what it is you need to do, whatever challenges you face. So, anyhow. That's a generalized way of looking at this. I don't want to get really specific because it could apply to so many different things, really. So, anyhow, that's it. That's it for a Monday. Thanks for watching. And check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video. It's at the bottom of the video there. And a little window will open, and you'll see the website address there. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see everywhere I am on social media and also the other platforms I publish on. Patreon, Substack, and Medium. I'll be taking a look at some of that going forward here to see if I want to continue doing that, but I won't do that till the beginning of the year. I like to evaluate stuff in the last week of the month of December to see, okay, what changes do I want to make here, and what do I want to keep doing? So but I'm heading in that direction now. Now that September's almost upon us. So I start thinking about it, and I come to some decisions at the end of the year about it. But right now, everything looks like I'm going to stay the same. But you never know. Lots of things are changing now, and in the world, and the kinds of things I want to write about may change, and but we'll see where all that goes. But anyway, check out all of that. I also cross-post over on Patreon, Medium, and Substack currently, most of that stuff. Not all of it, but some of it I do. For the full posts, you might want to go over to the blog there at Stepping Aside. I hope you'll also click subscribe here, and I'd love you to do that, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.